All right, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Inspiring Stories of Transformation. I am Jomo, and I am here with a amazing friend of mine through Facebook, and we've been connected for a couple years now. I've loved everything that Laura puts out. She's really just an inspirational, creative person that's always poetically expressing herself through Facebook, and she's also hosting these awesome yoga events in her area. I've seen her post on, and just really excited to have her here to share her story for this edition of Inspiring Stories of Transformation. So if you want to say hi, Laura, to everyone tuning in.
Oh my gosh, so happy to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. So basically, for those of you who have never been on the show before or check this out, we bring on entrepreneurs who are passionately creating in the world, and we want to show their story. You know, the background of where they come from, the challenges that they had to struggle with in order to overcome where to get where they are today. Because I noticed in my own personal life that I didn't really see too much of that, especially on the online in the online space, or just when you hear of these like huge success stories with entrepreneurs about the things that they've achieved, and a lot of times you don't see what went on behind the scenes. And to me, that's really interesting. The process of getting to where you want to go is just so much more interesting than actually just the destination. So I'm very grateful to have Laura here, and if you want to start out, Laura, by sharing your story or sharing whatever part of your story that you feel inspired to share at this moment.
Yeah, yeah, and even in coming and accepting your invitation to do this, and you're asking me, tell me in a paragraph how you would describe you, where you've been to where you are now. And so that was so interesting for me to take a moment and process that for myself and consider what part of the story I wanted to tell and how I wanted to tell it in a paragraph. But it really felt good for me to reflect on how much better I'm feeling, that, for instance, and I'm all about the, feeling better stuff. So, yeah, just how much better I'm feeling, even just in these like last 10 years. So that's really kind of the piece that I wound up telling. And really 10 years ago, I was at a place that would seem pretty great. I was, a new mom by choice at age 30, and having felt ready and asking for it and happily married. And I was, I was already teaching some yoga and doing journaling and, doing lots of things to take care of myself, it seemed, but I still found myself so overwhelmed at times and out of balance. And, as the adventures of motherhood continued, and I had gotten into some chronic pain through jumping through the hoops of life, and then, a little car accident to kind of like make it a little more evident, but and hadn't quite solved that. So yeah, through my own quest of working through some of that, and just really, I think, motherhood is what got me to want to become even more of my best self, although right away I knew that I needed to keep doing the work that I loved. And I guess I had already been on this path of wanting to do work that I love, and having some belief that that's possible, and just opening to that. So yeah, then it's been my quest to blend that and really have motherhood like I love, and get to do the work I love. So I feel like through adopting these practices and learning through so many different perspectives, I feel so much better, and realize I'm living the life that I had dreamed about. And, of course, now I have all sorts of wonderful new things I'm dreaming about. So, yeah, I guess it's fun for me to see how even just in these last 10 years, I've felt such changes. And my kids have even noticed changes, which has been so interesting. So, yeah. That's
Mm.
somehow how I feel.
What what kind of changes? What would you say were the biggest shifts in your
Um,
own, I guess, levels of consciousness or awareness within yourself?
I think the changes that others might notice, and that, like tangible changes that I would notice, is just more changes with more consistent feeling happy moods, which sounds so basic and simple, but we're at this time where that all of a sudden is like this amazing realm that feels so out of reach for so many right now. And so, yeah, just realizing how happy I feel a lot of the time and in my moments, and able to parent like I want. I don't know, but yet it's a lot about the perspective shift that's helped me get there. Um, yeah. So,
Mm,
and I'm just so fired up to share that because I feel like, oh, it's the good news of what's possible, of how we can feel, in ourselves and in life. So, yeah, it sounds really general, but it's been fun for me to realize that's my quest, to help people just feel good and enjoy life.
uh-huh.
Bruce,
Where do you think that comes from?
ah, well, yeah, I guess for a while I knew I wanted to help people feel better, and I don't know, maybe. And it's funny, I even realized recently that I'm kind of a natural born cheerleader, and I was an actual cheerleader back in high school, much to my feminist mom's dismay. But it was a great experience for me, and a lot about friendship and cooperation and teamwork. And but yeah, I really, and I was voted best cheerleader of the cheerleaders. And even just recently, I realized like that's kind of a way to describe me. I guess I'm kind of a natural born cheer leader. um, and so it's been about my finding my ways to do that, of course, but through my own wanting to feel good and enjoy life, I suppose.
Mhm. I know that I've seen some of your videos when you are basically kind of tuning people in to source, tuning into themselves. And I love that perspective that you share a lot. And I notice it comes a lot, or at least it reminds me of Abraham Hicks. Is that's been a pretty big influence for you, huh?
You know what? It has been, and really, it's helped me even own more what yoga is because I needed to hear it through their teachings. And it's really still for me just been about their audios, and maybe I bought one book recently. I still haven't even seen them live, but that just goes to show how much you can learn from people through all these formats. Um, but yeah, something about the clarity with those teachings. I've been open to that, and yeah, I've really dived into that a lot these last few years, and that really did play a pivotal role for me, um, in my understanding of just how important it is to manage how we feel and make it all about how we feel, and really just to understand that we're all energy and we're all vibration. And then I love the spiritual part, just feels so real that I love their talk about like emotions as guidance, and that that's our connection to that part of us, and that negative emotion means that we're thinking differently than that part of us would, and just it's such a shift on things like mood and mindset. But yeah, that's some of the stuff I for sure has influenced me. But then it's fun for me to look back as I continue to study, what might be called yoga, which I like. We'll get into what yoga is, I imagine, but I can see like, oh, that's what the yogis have been teaching all along. So it's fun for me to teach it as yoga, even though, yeah, I definitely have gotten a lot of it from teachers like Abraham Hicks. So, but I don't like try to shout that to the world as much, since that's kind of its own, cool phenomenon.
Uh-huh.
I know
Uh-huh.
that's kind of connected with for, some of the love of that, those teachers,
Mhm.
those teachers. Yeah.
So it's really just drawing like the essence of the teachings and kind of integrating it into your own personal way.
Yeah, I think I realized that at some point along the way, that I get excited about like some universal truth that seems to be threaded through it all. I get excited about that, and maybe even like an interfaith opportunity. I get excited about that because yeah, maybe it feels like the next logical step too for where we're at. Yeah, and then I'm all about just like simplifying things. It seems, perhaps because that's just how I take things in. But that's part of my gift, that I'm here to help simplify it and not make it so complex. So yeah, that's fun to play with.
Hmm, I love it. Simplifying the complex makes life a lot easier, a lot more manageable, right?
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about yoga and what kind of influence that's had on your life. Kind of where you first were exposed to it and how it all evolved because you're a yoga therapist, and to be honest, I've never heard of like that profession before. So I don't know if you invented it or if it was something you kind of like rolled into.
I didn't invent the title. There are even official yoga therapy certification trainings that have recently popped up. But I'm calling myself a yoga therapist for some fun reasons. Because of how I'm using yoga, and I'll share what I feel like yoga is, and then to just see using it as therapy, really. And then I also have some special training as a postural therapist, and I do have some psychological graduate studies, that could help me call myself a therapist. So it's kind of fun. Yeah, I'm just enjoying defining myself, and that's what I say. I'm calling it yoga therapy now. Um, and even yes, you will see there are more and more people out there calling themselves yoga therapists. But what it really boils down to for me is helping people personalize their use of it. And so whether that means if I get to help hook someone up with an individualized way to use the various ideas and tools and practices, that's to me what makes it even more of a therapy. Um, but for me, what brought me to yoga, I think I thought at first, I was in graduate school for psychology at the time, knowing I was interested in how people learn and how people heal and transform. I thought I wanted to teach college and teach psychology, and I also thought maybe I wanted to do some counseling, but I realized pretty quick I didn't really want to do just talk therapy, even though I was good with talking to people, and now I can see when I do talk to someone, even it could be called yoga therapy because really yoga just means union or to join. I have to say that. I keep wanting to reference it, so I can't go any further. Exactly. And that's like, I like the punk rock voice always reminding and really wanting to help us all realize especially if we're gonna think we do yoga, that yoga really just means union or to join or to connect. So really anything we do in the name of joining or connecting or union or yoking would be called yoga. So it doesn't have to have anything to do with exercises. But the exercises are part of how we can find that union, create that connection and joining. So I got drawn to it, I think, because I thought I'd like the physical part. So a friend in graduate school took me to a yoga class, and I was already someone who liked to exercise and do stuff for my body. So I think that's probably what I thought drew me there. But then I definitely knew that I liked how I felt afterwards, and that was like the undeniable thing, that I felt so changed in such a comprehensive way, and it just seemed so effective and powerful. And there were often peers involved even, and this was just kind of a traditional hatha yoga class, which hatha really just means the parts that use the postures. And breath is usually involved. So anyways, but pretty soon I started to learn that I was liking this stuff. And I pretty soon I remember knowing I was going to want to like share it with the people I love. So I thought, okay, I'm going to want to learn to teach this stuff. And I was lucky that I had a teacher I loved, and he was deciding to start a teacher training program. So I got to go help him open his own studio and kind of be his newsy helper as he developed the teacher training program, and I got to be in the year-long teacher training program. And so that was a great foundation for me. And yeah, and then I started to teach all over town. And I guess somewhere in there I had gotten in this car accident and kind of stopped doing the graduate school thing for a little while. I don't remember how that all went, but the pain, you know, eventually became about, can I manage my pain through this too? So I wound up getting so much out of the teacher training program, getting busy teaching classes, becoming a mom, and pretty quick it started to become about like prenatal yoga and mom and baby yoga, and, you know, got asked to teach those classes. So that became some of what I specialized in, just through kind of answering the call to teach it. It wasn't like it. So I did, you know, wind up doing some of that stuff, and those became my first 2 books that I decided to write that I'm still kind of finishing up. Yeah, I have like 4 now that are, now I see that I get to publish it as a series. So it's like, woo! So anyways,
Cool.
I've done the prenatal yoga. Here's my spin on it. I need to get it out into the world as I move on, you know. And then it was like, okay, here's mom and baby. So anyways, but somewhere along the line, about 7 years into teaching, I did get to connect with a method that really helped me hone my use of the postures, that really gave me kind of my expertise to help people and myself get out of pain and really develop a specific personalized practice. And it's really cool stuff, and it's called Egoscue. And it's a form of postural therapy. So I got to do some great training with them, and that really influenced me with my use of the postures. So I'm pretty therapeutic with my use of the postures, and it works really well to help people get out of pain and change stuff. But interestingly, going through that really reminded me how much yoga is so much more than just the postures. So that really, you know, developed my use of exercise therapy and my understanding of how to use the postures to treat the posture. But it also was my awakening, like, oh, but yoga is so much more than just the postures. So that really has been great for me, and that's kind of my mission too, is to always say, like, it's not just the postures. As much as I'm really into the cool use of the postures, it's so much more, you know. That's what, you know, some things like the Abraham and some of that has helped me bring it all together. Yeah, so that's kind of my medium-sized answer to that
Uh-huh.
question.
What did you mean? What did you mean when you said it's more about the postures? Because you said it like 3 times.
Well, not just about the postures, because even though in my experience, and that really has, for me, that was a pivotal moment to get a practice down that really attended to my specific stuff, really has a powerful part in my daily alignment. And I do, you know, hit the mat 20 minutes a day with my specific stuff, and I feel so good. And I know that it's, you know, so that part is really cool. But the mindset stuff and the understanding of energy and the spiritual aspects, and just being more in a feeling mode and a meditative mind, and even things like imagination as such yogi stuff, you know. So yeah, I'm excited to keep us all remembering that it's lots of things. And then again, it could be taking a walk, it's a conversation, can be yoga, reading, it can be part of your yoga. Yeah, so my kind of dreamy version is that we can play with all those tools and make it yoga. And that's what I did really in the newest of the books, the one that I call Feel Better Now. It is kind of a list of all the tools I would consider in the realm of yoga therapy and simple ways to use them. So there's postures, and there's breath ideas, and some talk of things like relaxation and understanding energy flow and things like that. But also there's like dancing is in there, and I think smiling is in there, and walking's definitely in there, and time in nature. So all of that is yoga. So you don't ever have to say, I didn't do yoga today. Because you can realize that anything you're doing to feel that union, that alignment, and that's where it's fun. The word alignment really works with what I'm bring in, I realize, because I'm offering the alignment with the posture, and then the alignment with the energy, and the alignment with the self. And so that, yeah, and I'm so all about hooking other people up to do it for themselves. I don't want people to need me, really. That's like my big dream too, is like, oh yeah, do this, learn to do this to yourself. And it's really cool that, yeah, I kind of have this thing. I think so my next step is going to be more in the theme of like superhero, because I get excited about thinking of us as like growing into our superhero selves, especially talking to like kids and teens, and just kind of seeing like it's owning a possibility. And when you do look at the stereotypes about the yogis, right, they were the ones who were known, if any, we know, we might think of them as like, they never did grow old, or they could hold their breath all this time, or they levitate, or they were, you know, they were the, so it makes sense that it's used in a blending of all these tools and perspectives that can help us, you know, click into that. That's right, now you and I like resonate. We're on the superhero path.
Oh yeah. Rad, yo. um, so, okay, you mentioned alignment, and I think that's a really powerful concept. And I love that, you know, you were talking about how, you know, anything that you do, and what I was hearing was pretty much like any way of moving your body is really a way to find that yoga and find that alignment. Um, can you kind of describe, I know it might be hard, but can you kind of describe what's actually happening? Like what is actually being aligned when you say alignment, you know, like what, yeah.
Good question. And I would also just say that yoga is also anything you might do. I'm like trying to think, does it always involve movement? Well, because it could involve stillness, but it also could be movement of the mind, would be yoga to me too, or just even movement of the awareness and the attention, or like foundational things with yoga. So, okay. So the question, now I've forgotten your question again.
What is being aligned when you say alignment?
Yeah, okay. So definitely a powerful part of it is the physical structural alignment, that, and you know, that's some of the stuff I really learned with Vygotsky, but I think it's what the yogis were always going for. But I think just our needs have changed as a species, just, and this is some what Vygotsky teaches, that, you know, we're all sitting more and we're moving less, and, you know, we develop these left and right side differences, and have injuries and stuff that gets us out of alignment. So most of us are cruising around out of alignment these days, it turns out. And we may or may not be feeling that with symptoms. But usually when symptoms come up, or all of a sudden our knee starts to hurt, or our ankle, or our shoulder, or our neck, or it's usually related to structural alignment. So it's a lot like how a chiropractor looks at the body. But what's cool with this method is it teaches how to use the exercises to give yourself a chiropractic adjustment, basically, very gently and efficiently. And it works really cool and fast. And so that's the physical alignment that you're creating, which is the structure. And it turns out that's super important with how the body functions and feels. You know, it's definitely affecting circulation and lymph systems and all the organs, and everything's really affected by structural alignment, it turns out, which again the chiropractors know, and they address with, you know, what they do to you, and it helps you do that to yourself to get things shifting better, and then they keep things in good health. So it really, and then it turns out the use of these postures, you know, especially as we realize that we're all made of energy, you can start to think about the energy alignment that we're creating when we use, again, I'm just talking about the postures right now. I have to make sure not to just talk about the postures. But just with the use of things like the postures, which is, the postures are a place to practice the mindset, it turns out. It's like a symbolic place that you can do that. So you're doing more than just exercises when you do postures in the name of yoga. But so just with, though, attending to structural alignment and now energy flow and helping move constricted energy and help things stay in good alignment. So you're creating like an energetic alignment, which is all translating into you feeling better, which we know is a sign of your vibrations raising as you're feeling better, that you can start to learn that. And then also that you're learning to align with that higher, wiser part of you, and you're just taking time to tune into you and to what feels just right for you, even mentally and energetically, and to just get into a different mode with yourself is some of the alignment that you get. So you get to align more with who you are and how you feel even right now, which can be helpful and important just to be aware of and to know where you're, jumping off from. And that's where some of yoga perspective comes in too, is that the yoga really reminds us to use non-judgment, especially, we bring that in when we're feeling like we're officially practicing, but we're also intended to bring it into the day. So always just kind of becoming more of the observer and being willing to not decide if it's good or bad or right or wrong, and just a place where you are right now. And then just a more of a feeling mode is what it's kind of like you're reestablishing that mode and awareness every time you're practicing. And again, your practice could be just laying down or taking a walk or doing the dishes. You can start to see that it's about bringing in some of those intentions to reconnect and realign. So that's some of the alignment. And then, of course, just aligning with the mindset that you want to be in and your approach to your day, approach to yourself, realigning even your use of imagination, because we're using that thing anyways, aren't we?
All the time, whether we want to or not. It's running until we, start shutting it off, at least temporarily.
And then learning to play with it and put images there that we do want or that help us feel better, and then to use it more to even help us heal. So I think those are some of the realms where it's like, woo, what's possible if we realize that and own it. But then it's kind of a yogi thing that you flip the mind, that you literally can flip the mind, which, maybe people like Hicks would say it can be difficult when you're feeling really, really bad to completely flip to feeling really, really good. But I think just kind of in a general sense, if we can find our way towards flipping the mind and focus towards what we do want, and even just literally instead of saying, oh, I'm so stressed, to eventually get towards saying to ourselves, I'm able to calm down, or I am calm. So somewhere in there, the yogis say we can flip the mind. So that's all part of the therapy. That's what I love, that you can see how the whole approach can be a therapy we use with ourselves, and all about union, which to me, union sounds a lot like alignment when I really think about it, right?
How about talk about the importance of breath in this whole dynamic? Because I think that's like a really big piece of this alignment.
Yeah, and of feeling now. Yeah, I get so pumped up about the breath, and that's one of those things too. I feel like I've only just begun, and the things I'm teaching still, when I get to teach people about it, are so simple and basic, yet powerful and huge. And the breath, gosh, I mean, sure, there's thousands and thousands of breath exercises out there, and I'll never really expect to learn them all. But breath is so exciting because it's, as we realize that we're made of energy, we really understand how we're bringing in that fresh energy and fresh oxygen to all the cells, and we get to use it as like a house cleaning of the body. It's such a tool for the mind as well. I love that. That's something I got early on, thousands of times in classes, just how just being aware of the breath immediately starts to build the mind-body connection. It's so powerful as a tool, and gosh, and I think it's just probably many of us still only turn to it when we already are kind of not feeling great. So, than nothing. But that's something fun that you can see with like use of the official practices of yoga is kind of remembering whenever you think of it. For sure, when you do the pose, remember to breathe more into your belly and do a longer exhale. And then all day long you're going to remember to, as you think of it, breathe into your belly and do a longer exhale. And breath's one of those things. It's super powerful too. I mean, we also have to be careful and gentle with it. I learned that along the way. It was important, I think, to know it's powerful stuff. And so a lot of when I teach breath stuff, I try to teach breath stuff often as part of, again, just not all about the posture, and you can do stuff with the breath. And we all have time for breath. So the breath is exciting, really.
I love that it's like it's integrated into the movements, like it like comes naturally with the movements, and then if we practice it enough, it becomes second nature. We're not even, well, obviously normally we're not thinking about our breath, but like breathing deeply can become like a very ingrained habit, in the same way that just like just breathing unconsciously is such a habit for all of us.
And it's so really, we're finding out how important it is and how our body functions. And most of us are breathing pretty shallow most of the time. And to think about what that's like for the organs and the cells and just how we're feeling. And then again, to think our energy when we're holding ourselves all constricted, that really hits me today. Oh my gosh, yeah. Energetic being, meant to be like beaming out, and we're walking around all tight, like I can do, it's all to me. Oh my gosh, what's that doing to our energy? And it's and it's exhausting. And we're seeing that, I think. We're at a time where we're seeing the results of having ourselves like that and having responses like that. It's like, it's tired, it creates all sorts of symptoms and, makes us unhappy. So now we get to try some.
Just FYI, your audio is like cutting in and out when you're like moving your body. I know you're like really excited to like go back and forth, but like see if you can like talk straight, like without moving your body. I know it might be hard.
I can do it. Still.
Okay. So I was wondering if you could, because I saw the picture that you have on your Facebook, and it was the picture for this event where you're in the classroom and kind of teaching yoga therapy, and obviously like I have no idea what yoga therapy looks like, considering I didn't know if it was an actual real thing. So I've never experienced it, I've never really kind of witnessed it, but I have witnessed like dance therapy. I actually was thinking of going to graduate school to do dance therapy, so I went to like the orientation and I saw what that was like, and at least like the class that I went to, I wasn't really feeling, so I didn't continue down that path. But I have a sense that it seems very similar, even like yoga therapy, like dance therapy, yoga therapy, all these things are kind of like, it seems like they're like group events, which is cool considering like therapy is usually, or when it's not like group therapy, it's usually like a one-on-one thing. So I guess my question is, do you do one-on-ones or do you do mainly groups? And also like what kinds of stuff do you do in the classroom, and does it vary from class to class? I don't know. That's a lot. That's a big mouthload, but I think you get my drift.
Yeah, So I do have fun doing both because um, as much as I see when I do get to work with someone one-on-one, um, it is a very fast way for someone to get results and feel changes, move towards what they want. If we can, the more we can personalize it for them and help them, an individual really get consistent with their use of a personalized use of, and to start to integrate perspectives. Um, it seems to be, the most powerful way that these things work. And again, that's coming from my experience. And then I do love to do group things. I love to do things that feel even like, I'd like to even do more things that feel even more like celebration and just like raising vibration and even more what feels like a party. But I do also lead group classes and events, and I'm starting to do retreats. But my aim is always to help them bring it home and get doing this stuff on their own. So that's always my spin, is help you bring this home and personalize your use of this stuff with the practices and the perspectives. But I'm playing with doing both, and I'm realizing that that's kind of fun for me as a creator, is to just find more formats to get it to more people in the various ways they're ready for it. And so I, work with some people one-on-one, and that is exciting and a chance to go deep and specific. But then you can also generalize this stuff. Yeah, in a class with me, when I work with the group, I'll usually try to take them through a well-rounded experience of some of the tools of what I consider yoga therapy, while I'm also talking to them, weaving in what is yoga, what is meditation, how are we making this meditation. So I'm like teaching someone about what yoga is, I find these days, and hoping they leave with a good feeling and understanding of what it is really and how to use it. And then that it has all these various aspects. And I'll try to make sure I'm telling them, I'm sharing some of them, but I try to always, there's always going to be some postures. And the postures that I'm using, a lot familiar, like downward dog. I don't really do sun salutes much because I just have other stuff I want to do with them, so they can do their sun salutes in other classes. Although I did do sun salutes today with, I get to work with a family right now and go to their home, and we do an hour family yoga. And even with them, I see that I'm getting to teach them what yoga is really. I'm really making sure they don't skip postures. And I'm helping them really understand that for sure using a lot of breath, and it involves our imagination, and that it's so important that we're listening to our bodies, and that we always do both sides, and also that just our playful moments of, sisters piling up on each other is part of our yoga. That's union, joining, connecting. So I'm really finding I'm enjoying that as a way, another way to just transmit an understanding of what yoga is and how to use it and how to bring it home and how to personalize it. Yeah. And then like with retreat programs, I think I'm just starting to do more of that, but just hopeful that that'll be an even deeper way to work in a more of a group setting to help these women. I'm working with women right now with this particular group. Understand what yoga is, how to use it as a therapy for themselves, more like daily, to feel better and just tune in and tune up has kind of been my tagline. Oh, I might have in there. Sorry, I forgot about the movement thing.
So all this talk about yoga therapy is making me wonder. Can we get a taste? Can we have a little Laura experience, yoga therapy experience?
Yeah. So yeah, well, let's just kind of touch on like a handful of tools, right?
Mm.
I always like to start a practice in kind of like reverence to like Eckhart Tolle, I think he's who I got this from, to invite more of our senses into the moment as we turn this into more of like a moment of practice, so we could start just be aware that we are listening more right now and kind of take in the sights around us and the lights and the textures as part of bringing our attention more into right now. Because again, attention, awareness are a lot of what we're honing with yoga, and the ability to just bring in our focus on purpose and get into right now. So luckily, like this broadcast, you know, you and I at least are totally right here and now. So we could do that for ourselves even more. And then, yeah, I like to invite people to get more feeling oriented and more sensing, like we've already started to do. So maybe even feeling the chair underneath us if you're sitting, feeling the air on our skin, and just more and more bringing the mind and the attention into the moment is a big part of what we're doing. And so let's add a couple more tools. We could add a mudra, the hands. We have so many hundreds of thousands of mudras. The mudras are the hand postures. So how about we do let's do the classic mudra of index finger to thumb, and then like put those hands on your thighs and turn your palms up. And so we use those to bring in our focus and attention and awareness more into right now. And the mudras have a little kind of a meaning. So this one goes with that yoga is about connecting with that inner part of us, that wiser part of us, that spiritual part of us. So this mudra brings in that intention. And then we can invite ourselves to get a little more still with where we're at. And then a big awesome tool with yoga is just practicing relaxing, right? So I love bringing in the softening the face and the jaw. It turns out that works like a domino effect, relaxes the nervous system every time we do that. So we can practice it during practice and then practice it in the day, relaxing the face and jaw, and then just playing with what we can soften in the bod and consciously let go of with just our attention and awareness. Reestablishing a more relaxed approach is the yogi thing to do. And then we could start to just be aware that we are breathing. I like to encourage that. Just kind of noticing what the breath's like, and already we'll bring in that non-judgment, nothing good or bad or right or wrong here. And it's also nice to start a practice with just checking out where we're starting from. Like, how is the body feeling right now? Are there any parts calling our attention? Bringing in that non-judgment, just noticing what's true. Part of that tuning in is just noticing what's true as we start. And then, yeah, what's the energy like? How has the mind been? Just checking in with where we're starting from. And then we get to go into playing with changing that with some more of the tools. So breath, I like to get into just softening the belly, breathing more into the belly. And that turns out and brings in lots more oxygen to all the cells, starts to engage the diaphragm, even massages the heart. And then longer exhales turn out are super important. Exhales are what relax us, and we want to make room for that next new breath. So people in my classes have heard me say that a million times. I've been saying it for like 10 years. And it's still just as interesting to me. Exhales are a big tool. And then we're still playing with softening the face and the jaw, kind of noticing if we re-tense that places, and now we know we can like soften that away. And then what we get to do with mind while we're practicing is start to just become more of an observer of the mind, just kind of noticing what is on the mind. So if thoughts roll through during the practice, we get to, or during our day, we get to just become more of an observer, just kind of notice what is on our mind. That's part of the therapy, tuning in. And then we start playing with quieting mind more. That's a big reason a lot of this stuff was built, I've realized, just to be able to quiet our minds more on purpose. So that's where some of this listening to sounds more, feeling, even being in things like the motions, the mudras, This is some of how we're honing the ability to quiet the mind, get more into right now. And then we can even play with tools like windshield wipe the mind. I got that from one of my faves, Eric Shipman. So that's a use of imagination. You could just play with the idea of windshield wiping your mind to clear it and quiet it. And then during the practice, we start to play with connecting mind. So that's where some of the spiritual stuff can come in, where you can make it about listening more, feeling more to that part of you, that part of life that feels more spiritual or divine. And so that, again, is part of your yoga and part of your meditative mindset. So your observing mind, your quieting mind, your connecting mind, and then we can also play with redirecting mind as the fourth piece. So we also get that chance to like flip the mind to I am calm, I am feeling great, or flip the imagination to focus on what we do want. So maybe even like with an upcoming in-breath, we can see or feel the breath coming in like the cleaning, helpful agent that it is. So see or feel that, like that classic white light imagery isn't bad, or something else might work for us. But just to be aware of that adds power to that breath and what it's doing. Breathing it in and then like breathing out like dark smoke, as you know, you're carrying out the old. So just to taste of how it's all this energy medicine become a new understanding for me. And then, of course, we've got all sorts of things we know we might do with the body. Let's just do one thing. And I thought about, I knew I wanted to bring in power poses. You might know about power posing, Gemma. So let's see about interlacing the hands. Now this might be a little like gregarious for some, so take it gently. But see if you can just put your hands behind your head, pull your elbows back, and hopefully sitting up somewhat aligned, somewhat symmetrical on your hips there. Okay, it hurts, you know, the idea is it's not really meant to like create strain or pain, any of this stuff, in my opinion. So modify it a little bit, get it a little bit better if it hurts. It will feel like some work. This is doing some postural therapy. It's stretching and strengthening the neck and shoulders, back and open, and really getting us out of any rounding. And then it turns out, and I think the yogis knew this, but there's like current people talking about how there's this phenomenon, we're just going to hold this a little longer, called power posing. This realization that certain postures of the body boost like serotonin and other hormones and chemicals that make us feel more confident, make us feel good. So it turns out, assuming it's like this, let's kind of now stretch our body out. How about even just like a T? This is like so simple, you know? And now let's see about adding more of a relaxed approach around the parts that are working and bring in some of that breath. We'll just hold a little bit longer. This is a little bit killer. You got it. Smiling is good stuff. Boost serotonin. Breathing into the belly. Long exhale. Always making it just right for our body. Checking out how the mind's feeling. Bringing it more back right now as needed.
I love that. I love the windshield wiper.
Yeah, I like that windshield wipe. And then when you're ready, just relax your arms down. And how about we just even like gently shake it out a little bit? I even just learned recently that shaking is considered medicine in some cultures. So now I always add that when I get to work with people, and I do that myself too. It just, for native energy, we can, you know, shake off stuff. We can help get things moving and flowing. And it's real intuitive as far as how you shake. Kind of like dancing. That's the reason I think dancing is so great. And then let's get still on purpose. And oh, I'll just show you one more thing to go with our superhero vibe here. We'll do one more mudra where you interlace your hands and put that over your heart. That one is known to boost courage. So I like, even lately, I go to bed with this one. Why not? And so, yeah, some of the tools like using sound, like using our breath, like bringing a relaxed approach in. and just the time to reestablish the mindset and feeling orientation. Great. Nice. And then we just kind of check out what feels different and better after we've used some of the tools. And just notice if we do feel more tuned in to how we're feeling and just tuned into this moment, this unique moment. It's fun to think that's like the motivation, to just be able to be in our moments more, feeling at ease and ready to enjoy. A little spoonful. A little off the cuff spoonful for you. Yeah, and I have fun. I mean, really, for me, teaching's become such a creative thing. It's like improv for me, you know, because I get to just now play with what I've learned, and just, yeah, each time I work with people, it's a little bit different, and I get to customize it. Yeah, it's really a fun, creative thing for me these days. So I appreciate that. And then I know I can do any, I can read in poetry, I can do all sorts of things in the name of yoga.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing your practice with us all.
Thank you for asking.
So I'm going to check real quick in the Facebook event to see if anyone has any questions for you, because I know I posted that in there. So if there's anything in there, we'll see real quick. Thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. Okay. All right, so looks like we're all good on that front. So I think we'll bring it to a close here, and once again, thank you, Laura, for joining us tonight, and for sharing your story and sharing the tools that I think will really help anyone tuning in to carry with them and use to de-stress and feel more at ease and more connected, more aligned, and enjoy their life more.
Sounds good. I like it.
Awesome.
All right.
So,
thanks so much.
You're welcome. If anyone's tuning in and they want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, well, they can connect with me on Facebook. I definitely feel like that's a nice home for me. And then my website also is www.ilaurajane.com. You can connect with me that way too.
ilaurajane.com.
Yeah, and I'm on YouTube at Laura Jane, so you can find me there with more yoga stuff if you like.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone, and until next time, make sure that you're enjoying your life and using these tools and integrate them into your life in whatever way possible. Because I know that when and to be honest, I've recently slipped from my meditation practice, but anytime I have the opportunity to reconnect with it, I'm always so grateful and appreciative. So definitely going to be integrating a lot of these things into my life, especially the windshield wiper. I really like that. That was like a quick little trick that really worked for me.
Yeah, so. Pass the windshield wipe.
Yeah. So if there was a tool in particular that worked for you, feel free to let us know, and we can keep you accountable to make sure that you're doing that on a daily basis. And then definitely reach out to Laura if you'd like to connect further and possibly take one of her classes. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. See ya.
Mhm.